Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Heribert Kaijage from Mwimbili University of Health and Allied Sciences in the Department of Environmental Professional of the School of Public Health and Social Sciences. I have a background in Bachelor of Science, Environmental Health, and a Master of Science, Natural Resource Assessment and Management, and specializing postgraduate diploma in urban environment and climate change management of Erasmus University, Rotterdam. Today we are going to talk a little bit about climate change in relation to public health. We are all aware that current climate is a global issue. We have been witnessing a lot of extreme events, change of rainfall pattern, droughts, and other impact of climate. Public have been affected, and different sectors have been affected, ranging from agriculture, water resources, forestry, and other sectors. But today, this lecture will specifically target climate change in relation to public health sector. At the end of this session, I expect everyone will be able to describe potential impacts of climate variability and change, and also state whether health data or outcome and the possible sources which are needed to determine the current burden of climate-sensitive disease. That what are specific health outcomes that could be affected, and where are the sources of data, and where can we get it, and how can we analyze it. And also we talk about some adaptation approaches for public health sector. What actions do we take as a public health professional, and what mitigation measures or approaches is responsible for climate change mitigation, and what actions should we take as a public health individuals. Now let us start by look at the overview of the potential health impacts of climate change and variability. When we talk about climate change or climate variability, we are talking about seasonal variation. Most likely climate variability is less than 10 years. And this almost is more of seasonality changes. But when you talk about climate change, the long-term changes ranging from more than 10 to 30 years and so on. Internationally, we have agreed that climate change should be measured within 30 years. But in terms of local impact, national level, we can take 10 and more years as a time framework for climate indicators. And when we say climate change, we mean that we talk about the variables, different variables like weather pattern, change of rainfall, change of sea level rise or sea level drop down. We have other impacts in wind and so on. So how do those variables or those impacts can affect public health? Now, this is the way a public health profession should intervene and take charge on it. What are the issues now? Major pathway for weather to affect health. What are the potential impact of climate change in terms of extreme weather events like temperature, floods, sea level rise? What are the possible vector-borne diseases that can arise from climate change? And what are the diseases related to air pollution? And then we have some other diarrhea diseases. Also, we have some other issues like co-benefit of climate change management in relation to public health co-benefit. What if we stop production of greenhouse gases? What are the possible benefits when we stop production of greenhouse gases in terms of public health, in terms of air pollution, in terms of respiratory health, in terms of public health gain, in terms of health working and so on. So these are the possible pathways for weather to affect human health in terms of, for example, let us start by a case of diarrhea disease. When you want to determine the impact of climate on human health, you have to find out an outcome, health outcome. Health outcome can be in terms of disease, meaning morbidity, can be in terms of mortality, and also can be in terms of public health system which have been impacted. For example, in your model of diarrhea case, as our outcome of interest, there are some kind of factors that are these causes which can affect what? Climate, temperature, humidity, and precipitation. All of these may also affect living conditions like water supply and sanitation, and affect food sources and hygiene practices. And all of these may form other causes, proximal causes, such as survival and the replication of pathogens in the environment, may cause contamination of water sources like living conditions, water supply and sanitation, destruction, contamination of food sources, and rate of person-to-personal contact may increase if water supply and sanitation have been destroyed. And that finally we can have environmental operational hazards as an exposure to public or human being, like consumption of contaminated water, consumption of contaminated food, contact with infected persons, such as a source of hazard that may result into change of health outcome like incidence of mortality in terms of diarrhea, attributable to diarrhea, whatever, vulnerability in terms of age, nutrition status, and so on. The throughout framework in terms of diarrhea, ranging from this cause, that is the temperature, humidity, and precipitation, which are the variables of climate change. Change of those variables may affect proximal causes, infectious hazards, and health outcome in general. This is the model of pathway from driving force potential health outcome described by Covan. Covan produced a very good model of climate and human health. And the model starts by looking at the climate change indicators at the middle there. We have the climate change indicators, that is regional weather change in terms of heat waves, extreme weather events, temperature, and precipitation. On the other end, we have some kind of preparatory phases, like adaptive capacity. How is the system able to adapt to the impact? Mitigation capacity, how do we stop production from the case? Mitigation measures in terms of greenhouse production emission. And also we have other factors that can affect human health, like driving forces, population and sustainable economic development, and impact on natural resources and so on, and other natural causes. So all of these together make up the impact of climate change in terms of heat, extreme temperature, temperature rise, and sea level rise, and so on. They gave us moderating influences like microbial contamination in waterways, transmission dynamics, changing in vector population, changing in certain kind of disease agents like bacteria, like vectors, and also human being objectivity, changing the agro-system and hydrology, changing socioeconomic and demography. All of these may give out into the impact to human health in terms of health outcome like temperature-related illness and death, extreme weather-related effects, pollution-related health effects, water and foodborne disease, vector-borne rodent, and so on. This is the model of climate and public health. We have to look at the adaptive capacity and the mitigation capacity, which we shall talk later. We have to look at the other driving forces behind those greenhouse emissions, and we have to look on the other moderating influences in terms of contamination, pathway, ecosystem, and social and demographic profiles, adaptation measures, and evaluation of adaptation. So all of these together in a combination may give out the rise of what health outcome of interest. Now, drivers of health outcomes, we have population density. This is very known to public health experts that health may be affected by various issues, by various drivers like urbanization, public health infrastructure, economic and technological development, environmental conditions, and also drivers may be in terms of vulnerability, in terms of poor people, children, increasing population of residents, and immunocompromised persons. The way health outcomes are being defined or are being affected depends on various factors as mentioned. For example, let us look at the way extreme weather events may impact public health system. This is a sample of settlement in Mozambique on March 2000, where maximum flood has occurred due to climate events. And there you can see we witness a lot of impact like deaths and injuries, increasing mortality, infectious diseases, exposure to toxic substances, mental health effects, increasing demand of the system, and so on. So these are some of the impacts that may be as the outcome of climate change through extreme weather events.